Give me a
Okay, notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of San Diego, Texas is called to order at the time is 6:33 PM on Thursday, April 23rd. Can I have a phone call, please?
Sure. Mayor Pro Tem Madero,
Here.
Alderman Krippner.
Here.
Alderman Tremblay.
Here.
Alderman McNeil. Absent. Alderwoman Walker.
Here.
City Attorney's here, interim city administrator, Dr. Johnson. Okay, and
There's people waiting to get in.
all right.
And I believe our mayor will be joining us via Zoom. He is traveling for work right now, but he will be participating for the first part of this meeting. So with that, let's do the.
Oh, I could-
Here he is.
So again, we have the mayor online via Zoom. We'll let you know when you drop off. Thank you. See ya.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag
Flag.
of President to Texas, one
Under God, one indivisible.
All right. We will begin with a town hall moderated by the mayor pro tem and the city administrator to allow for questions and public comment on the potential tax increase for the 2026 tax year to support the 2026-27. No, that's the 2027 fiscal year budget. This is not a public hearing on the proposed tax rate or budget that council will hold prior to consideration of the adoption of the 2026 tax rate for the 2027 fiscal year. It is now 6:35 and the town hall. Now, is that called the order? Started?
Yes.
All right, we have some folks online. Are any of you here to discuss the town hall? All right, I'm not getting any indication of anyone here for the town hall.
Can I-
Yes, please. Do we have a mic?
It's up.
I can speak loud enough, I think.
There's one in the podium.
Okay.
It's already on.
It's really, well, to me, it's big. I know you said you don't discuss tax thing right now, but
We are just discussing this thing. We're just not doing the public hearing. This is merely a town hall to get citizens' opinions.
my deal is if taxes go up, I'd like to see something done in this neighborhood. Because it's built in the
This neighborhood being
whole city,
the whole city.
the whole city. I mean, you look at my neighbor right over here on Sandy Oaks and he's got like 10 cars parked there in the front yard, all wrecks. You know, junk. The guy right here at Onewood Pass and Silver Chalice, right there on the right with that stop sign. That looks like garbage, showing there's tons and tons and tons and tons of houses out here. Like, and it doesn't do anything for our values. My wife and I put a lot of money in our house. We'll never get out. We know it. Never get the money out. But, you know, if the place was cleaned up out here, it'd probably be hell. But that's all I want to say. It's something done that people take care of their properties.
So you want to see something come out of any kind of tax increase? Is
I
somewhere
don't mind paying a little more tax if something gets done.
you see some benefits from it? Yes, sir.
Benefit. Yeah. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any indication someone online wants to speak though?
No, nobody said anything. Nobody unmuted.
Alderman Walker, do you have something to say?
I think the ordinance compliance officer that we just hired is working on
Oh.
that.
We can't talk.
Uh,
This is just to talk about what we think about the tax rate. I thought you were speaking
Okay.
in terms of the tax stuff, but code enforcement, you can definitely discuss that with the meeting for the chief.
Okay.
as well. Anybody? All right, it is now 6:38. The town hall has ended. I will specify that there are no citizens that have signed up to speak. We have heard from the town hall. So with that, I want to jump around a little bit to allow the mayor to finish up whatever he's working on. I heard from that vacations. Because again, his traveling for work, he's not out enjoying a vacation right now. Although he has beautiful Colorado. So with that, I would like to jump to item 9, executive session. Do I have to read this whole paragraph or just? All right, in the executive session to deliberate the appointment, employment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of interim city administrator. Executive session, item 9B is the executive session to deliberate on the pay rate for the city secretary, Delma Joyle, and related matters pursuant to Texas Open Meeting Act, Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Section 551.074. 9C, executive session to deliberate on the pay rate for Public Works Director Priscilla Schmidt and related matters pursuant to Texas Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Section 551.074, and item 9D, executive session to deliberate on the hiring of Fred G. Perez as a patrol officer pursuant to Texas Government Code, Chapter 555, Section 551.074. The time is now 6:40. We will go into executive session. Please make sure you leave your mics here. If we could discuss the item related to the officer first, and if you could join us for that, the city
Did we lose it?
No, I went straight to the executive session.
Hold on, we lost the, there we go. It's come back on. No, yeah.
The mayor's not gonna come back. I don't.
No, but, well, we have people, well, there's nobody coming on as a, but there might be one.
We still have to record it. Yeah, we still need to get the recording started.
The recording started.
The recording is starting. All right, the time is now 7:32. We are back from executive session. And we're just gonna start continuing on down the agenda. We have finished item 9 and we will go back up to item 5, mayor and administrator announcements. Dr. Johnson?
Yes, ma'am. So this Saturday at the community center, Tom Rapino Park, we're gonna have the University Health Blood Drive there from 10 till 2. We just asking you guys come out and support. Next, the funding was not awarded for the fiscal year 26 countrywide outside agency, and that was for support for animal control, TNR for animal control. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the consent agendas. All matter on the consent agenda will be considered routine and will be entered by one motion. If there's any separate conversation, we need to cool those items, and those will be discussed after the consent agenda is addressed. We need to check something. Absolutely. Okay. All right, I want to pull 6D, 6D, and 6E. Leaving on the consent agenda 6A and 6C.
We need a motion.
So go ahead and see if you guys are good with that. Want to pull something else? Ready to go.
Pro consent item, consent agenda, items A and C.
All right, I have a motion from Alderman Tremblay to approve items A and C with a second by Alderman Crickmore. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right. With that being said, moving back to item B, I did not get a chance to read that since it was just posted yesterday. And then again, I believe there's an update posted this morning as well on that one. So I haven't read that. If you guys have had an opportunity to read that and the three of you want to talk about it, that's fine. Just know that I haven't read it, so I won't be voting to accept
Oh, I'm here.
I'm good.
Get posted.
it. You guys are okay. So we would ask that you bring that back to the next meeting, please, so we have time to look at that. Same thing with item 6E. I did not have time to review that since that was not posted until last night as well. 24 hours is not really a long time. So if you all want to discuss that and move forward, you're welcome to. I will not vote to you. No interest in making a motion, they're doing anything on that one. Okay, and the other one I want to bring up is item 6D. Now, when I opened up item 6D, it has the big word paid stacked on it. And it is not due until the 10th of May. And this was before your time, Dr. Johnson. However, we have had a conversation with the mayor in the past and emphasized that these invoices, if they are not due, should wait until the city council approves them to have them paid. So this one, not sure the logic or the reason why this one was paid prior to its suspense, prior to coming to the city council. had it been due before now, that would make sense. So I'm not sure. So I'm re-emphasizing my request that invoices not be paid prior to coming to city council.
But I can tell you the reason for that
Yes.
because, so an invoice from, I want to say November or so, was paid twice. So instead of, I guess, reimbursing the city, I credited the next bills. So I credited the city attorney bill for the amount that was paid for another city attorney bill and then
You credit.
prosecutor bill.
So we didn't
So-
actually pay it.
So no, you haven't paid it. It was more of a credit, but I think the way that my QuickBooks came up, it comes out as paid because there was nothing owed.
Okay,
So then that.
understood. So we're still following that process. Thank you for that clarification. So you were double paid
For one, for
for,
two invoices.
for two invoices. All right. So again, attention to detail.
So it was a credit.
We said you were paid by credit, not paid by doing that. Okay, so still an attention to detail issue then. If we can just be more careful on that. All right, with that being said, then I would move to accept the consent agenda item 6D. 6D. And, all right,
Second.
so I, the Mayor Pro Tem Madero, made a motion to approve consent agenda item 6D and then seconded by Alderman Tremblay. Any discussion?
Why is there no money amount?
Because it's been paid already.
For credit.
It
And we don't know
actually
how
shows
much it-
on,
At the very bottom, the very last line, it does say on here, credit for double payment of invoice number.
Okay,
So you can see that it was paid 735. You read the details on that one.
thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? All right, motion again to accept consent agenda item 6D, put by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Alderman Tremblay. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Moving on to old business, item 7A, discuss our possible action on to appoint a citizen complaint review board members as required by ordinance 2026 Act 270. Alderwoman Walker and McNeil, so over to you.
I do actually have 5 candidates. And Davy Jones, who's been on it before. Wanda Hartley has been appointed before. I have never seen her paperwork and it's not in the city file. So I'm gonna review the paperwork. Ann Garza. Terry Coffendacker. And new option is Sarah Ramirez. Has agreed to serve. That's 5. Do we have any others? Because we really need an alternate.
But that's the minimum amount.
That's the minimum.
So why we have that minimum, we can still start pursuing, but if we should have a citizen complaint review board, you would be able to actually. Well, once you finish all the paper.
Once we finish the paper. And as long as council's okay with those candidates, I will get the NDAs and the paperwork. I'm gonna personally get that information to them. Have them fill it out, give it back to me, and then I will give it to Delma and Richie. That way I have a checklist that it's been done. Because what's happened in the past is we've been told it's been done. But who knows what it was. Again, we can hope.
Okay.
Thoughts,
Any,
anybody? With any of those candidates? Objections, or move forward?
I swear that.
your background check.
Yeah, and they have to do the NDA, meet qualifications and have it happen.
Any concerns with any of these individuals?
No.
No. All right, then please move forward and we'll see if the chief clears them all to be on the citizen complaint review board with their background check. Thank you so much. And again, let's continue to look for an alternate so that we have that option when one is not available to still conduct a meeting. All right, moving on to item 7B, discussing our possible action on ordinance amending ordinance number 2020-166. This ordinance is up for a second reading. And it is to provide for business regulations of peddlers, solicitors, and vendors, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinance, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. That one is Alderman McNeil and Alderman Tremblay. Alderman Tremblay, over to you, please.
This is the second reading of move to ordinance that's amended.
And don't we have an ordinance number on this? Isn't this 269?
I have to double check on that one really fast. One second. We- Yes.
I know it's a blank space. All right, so we have a motion from Alderman Tremblay to approve the ordinance amending ordinance 2020-166. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so I have a motion to approve ordinance number TBD, amending ordinance number 2020-166. Up for discussion. No discussion? Did we get the ordinance number yet? No, all
No,
right,
ma'am. No, ma'am.
we'll pass it without the ordinance number. Please remember to fill it in and make sure we're not missing ordinance numbers. All right, so I have a motion from Alderman Tremblay for an ordinance. Second reading of the ordinance amending ordinance number 2020-166. To provide for business regulations of peddling, solicitors, and vendors, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinance, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Did I second that?
You seconded that. I'm sorry. Yes, did I not say that? I'm sorry. Yes, seconded by Crickmer. Alderman Crickmer was the seconder on that one. Okay, that one passes as well. Moving on. Item number 7D, discuss and/or take possible action on a signed proposal for the Tom Rapino Park entrance. Over to you, Alderman Crickmer.
There was some issues about needing a bond and that kind of slowed things down. And then it was determined that what we had for insurance was adequate enough. He had raised the price up from $6,000 to $7,500 if he needed a bond. So now he's back down to $6,000. The administrator has been assisting me on this and he could get the font. I still don't have a final version on how the letters are gonna be attached to the arc at top, but I like the font. We have two references. We have the total price, the bid. We have a drawing, which is not exactly as it should be. It's not totally representative, but I think it's acceptable. He has his description. So I need to get back with him and finalize the attachment and approve. He wants $3,000 initially and $3,000 when the job's completed to our satisfaction. But whether the attorney needs to go forward with this or I need to go forward a little bit further with this.
What is the next steps of the attorney? What do we need to do to procure of this particular item? Do we need a contract? Do we need a resolution? Do we need, what's the next step for him to get this done?
I think probably a resolution with the sign, approving the style and the format and a drawing design. So, like you would.
Because it's something for the city, it's not a contract.
Yes, we're giving you that.
And then, well, I probably get a contract outlining the terms of his scope of services is gonna be, if the city is paid, what the remedy is, if he doesn't take those services, then that would.
So you'll write all that up. You'll do the fine print on that.
Well, did he not tell you that? He told you that he wanted $3,000 up front.
Yes, it's in this proposal.
Yeah,
I would see.
Here's the
I see it-
proposal right
I
here.
see it, it's like the proposal on.
No, it's not online. I got a printed copy. That's the way I-
It's addressed to you. Do you have it digitally? Dr. Johnson?
Yes, ma'am, I should be able to get that.
Yeah, if you could make sure that the council members have it and then send it to the attorney. Yeah, so Dr. Johnson stepped in and started working, so this is made out to Dr.
It could
Johnson.
be a little more specific, but that's what we have so far.
And there was a diagram, I analyzed the diagram, looked at the height of the ladder based on, research I did. It is visible, it is appropriate height, the letters are appropriate height to be visible from, up to like 600 feet. Very clear at 300 feet, based on the size when I did it, with the basic Google search on it.
So we're not there yet, but we're making slight incremental progress. I don't think there's a rush to get this
So do we
done.
need a motion for you to move forward with doing the contract, or is that just something that we can just ask him to do?
I think a motion would probably get more.
All right, can you hand this back to Doug? All right, I move to have John Crickmer get with the city attorney. Once he gets the final proposal to come up with a contract and a resolution to get the sign for the Tom Lupino Park. Yeah, that should be part of the proposal. It should be part of the resolution. All of that should be included in there. I just, that way he's working with the city attorney to make sure he has everything. That's why I want him to work with her and prepare it for a future city council meeting. Hopefully the next one.
I'll send you everything I have.
So that is my motion.
I see.
All right, any further discussion on that? All right, we have a motion for Alderman Crickmer to get with the city attorney after he gets a full proposal and make sure we have everything we need for the resolution and the contract to move forward with the Park sign. Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by
Walker.
Alderwoman Walker.
Good.
All those in favor?
Bye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to new business. Discuss and/or take possible action regarding proposed 3-year contract with Venture Soul LLC for website development and supporting services with the option to add codification services at a later date and at total cost not to exceed $21,600, and authorize the city administrator to execute said contract with an annual cost for year 2 of being $12,288, year 3, $12,288. City administrator.
So before you is the contract with Vendor Sold LLC. In fact, she's online right now to be able to answer any questions that you may have. There is a draft contract with the information that you guys requested as far as not to exceed $21,600, and for the additional add-on for codifications at a later date.
That $21,600 is for the first year only.
Yes, ma'am.
Year 2 and year 3 both have an additional cost of $12,288 each.
In which she's willing to use that same price up all the way up into year 5.
What?
To year 5, so that $12,000 plus dollars all the way up to year 5.
All right. I, of course, highlighted multiple things I had questions on, for both the city administrator and for the, Mrs. Bennett.
Bennett.
Also, just
Oh, she's the
to,
one that's on mute.
is she on mute? Can we unmute her?
I tried, she won't let me.
Also, please know I did talk to the mayor and he provided some inputs as well on this, so I'll make sure I address them. Okay, so if no one else wants to say something, then I'm just gonna start going through. If we start on page 6. Under digital forms, flows, and online payments. It specifically says 20 fully customizable digital forms. That's more than what we use in the city currently, correct? So that allows room for growth. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
All right. And then it's the next paragraph in the middle that says the platform integrates with multiple systems. Are we using all these systems, or is that list of the systems that we have options to choose to use?
Those are additional that we choose to use.
All right, perfect. And then the next section talks a lot about this Hey Gov suite. Is that something that we're going with? Because we talk about Hey License, Hey Gov Pay, Hey Reserve, Hey 311.
We haven't decided. That's something that we can build out as we continue to go on.
Okay, and what is the timeline for when we need to make this decision?
We're asking if possible, tonight will be great, so we can at least get that first phase started and she can get this up and running.
So we need to select if we want to use the Hey Gov suite.
Oh, no, ma'am. As far as just the contract in general.
Okay,
No,
my
ma'am.
question is the Hey Gov suite. If we're gonna make that choice at some point, when do we need to make that so we can be informed and know which tool we're going to use for all the capabilities that she's
Ma'am?
providing with this redesign?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I would recommend by next council meeting, the 14th of next month.
I could add, I believe if I'm understanding correctly, your question is pertaining to the Hay Suite, correct, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay, awesome. Yes. So just for clarity on that, so that it's already encompassed within our solution. So Hey Gov Suite, it's basically a license that covers the digitalization, the municipal forms, licenses, permits, and applications. Hey GovPay is separate, but again, it's all encompassing as well, which is just a solution that we utilize to enable the city to collect fees online, in person, and remotely. We just tied all of those substrates into the verbiage just so that you guys are in the know of the comprehensive effect of the solution. It's already included
All right,
from Go.
perfect. I just didn't know if we were needing to make another selection on what tool.
Oh, no, ma'am.
We don't necessarily know a lot, so great, we're going with the Hey Gov suite and we don't need to decide on that. Thank you for that clarification, ma'am.
No
All right,
problem, ma'am.
under the agenda and meeting management with clerk minutes add-on, why are we adding that on and how much are we paying for that?
It's included.
But why?
So what it does is pretty much AI generated. So while we send in the meeting, it will be generating.
But why do we need meeting minutes, a verbatim word for word interpretation of this meeting?
I would say with period of staff time, for example.
But
hour
that's
of
not
staff
what
time.
Robert Rules of Order requires. Robert Rules of Orders requires a statement, what was the motion, what was the result of that motion? I do not want our meeting minutes to become a verbatim of what this meeting is.
And take up a lot of space.
Yeah, that is not the purpose of our meeting minute.
And it would still need to be reviewed by a human being.
Yeah, we do
Correct.
not. What meeting are we doing that requires a verbatim meeting minute?
Yeah, and I can speak with Ms. Bennett, but my understanding that could be modified. If we just wanted to make it for Robert Rules of Order.
Okay,
We
so-
can get that
Yeah,
modified.
I don't want to pay extra for something that we don't need,
Mhm.
is my point, because it says it's an add-on. So just. Are we paying for that extra?
No, ma'am, it is included. in
It's
the
included,
21,000.
but please don't use it.
Is the question pertaining to what comes with the clerk minutes?
No, my
Is there anything that I
question,
can clarify as far as the technical
what-
aspect?
my question is that it's an add-on. I wanted to make sure we weren't paying for this because we don't need it.
Oh, understood.
And not unless clerk minutes can do meeting minutes according to Robert's Rules of Order, which is merely summarizing the motion made and the results of the voting, not a verbatim meeting minutes, which is my understanding what clerk minutes does.
Yes, so it generates the entirety of the meeting, but that also could be edited, right? Like, so it's pretty much it types out like a scribe. And then if you guys have staff that is still able to kind of go in there and edit what's necessary and modify and make those deletions, then that is something that it could do as well. And
Yeah.
again, that's something I can get clarity on what Dr. Johnson and you all would like to do moving forward. But yes, that is an add-on, but it could also be taken off.
Okay, thank you. So the content migration says that every piece of existing content. So you've seen our webpage and you're good with everything that's out there now. But hopefully it'll look much better once you move it over.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right. So again, AI generated agenda and meeting software is listed on page 1127, just highlighting that as well. All invoices are issued with payment net terms of a net of 15 days, from the date of issuance, unless otherwise required by the city's accounts payable policies. So my only concern with that, ma'am, is that our city council meeting is only the second and fourth, Thursday of the month. I had to think of what day of the week. And understand that they can be approved without coming to us, but if for some reason the individual approving it wants to bring it to the council, that might cause a delay, especially for the bigger deliveries. Do you have any issues, or what would be the process if you needed to delay it to get it to the council meeting?
Yes, so no issues there. I've had to adjust as far as the agreement per the city attorney as well as far as what we've submitted. So that's already been adjusted as well on our end.
All right, thank you. A review period of up to 3
No
business
problem.
days following delivery of each milestone to provide feedback and approval. I'm just wondering about the 3 business days, because on top of all of this, my request is that the approval person, and this is in line with what the mayor has in his email sent to me, is that it not be the city administrator, that it actually be the mayor that does that approval, given that he's been here longer, more involved, and not the city administrator. Just again, you've only been here for 3 or 4 months.
Yes.
And he who knows more about what the city needs. I'm just a little concerned about the 3 days to approve. Is it possible to get that extended out to like five business days, so he has a whole week to look at it? I'm looking at the review and acceptance section on page 13.
I'm sorry, is that question directed towards me? I don't want to.
Dan, I'm just
Okay,
asking if we can have 5 business days to do that
Yes.
review and acceptance.
Yes.
If the mayor's traveling or something. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I can adjust that.
Thank you. The price shall remain fixed throughout the initial term. That's in the renewal pricing adjustment. The initial term for this is 3 years. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, 3-year duration.
Okay, and it says that we're not required to communicate with or manage external vendors. That's true for everything except for the codification software. We'll need to get with them and get that set up. And then once it's set up, you'll integrate it into the website that you've built seamlessly. Is that correct?
Yes, that's something that we'll be able to embed over time once you guys get up on your end.
Yeah, but that's the one external vendor that we'll need to manage during this contract and until we get it integrated. You're managing it until then. Okay, so then the next question would be on page 16, where we're talking about what the city provides. It says the city administrator review and written approval. The request I would have is that we do the mayor instead of the city administrator, and that's also his request. And I'm throwing this out here, by the way, we do need to make a motion to make all these changes. So I'm looking for feedback from the alder people at the table on your thoughts on that. So my 2 big changes out of all of those questions I just answered would be to change the review and approval period to 5 business days instead of 3, and to have the mayor as the review and approval official, the person responsible for doing all of that. Discussion, questions, concerns, changes to that. Those are the 2 big requests I would like to change.
That motion.
No, I guess I
it
should do a motion. I would move to modify the contract so that there's 5 business days for review and approval, and that the mayor is the one responsible for doing the review and approval of all the products being delivered under this contract. That is a motion. All right. Now it would be open for discussion. You have a valid point. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Alderman Walker. Now open for discussion on making those 2 changes to this contract.
They sound reasonable.
And Ms. Bennett, these are things that you're agreeable to as well?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, any issues from the city attorney on these changes? No issues. Any comments, city administrator?
No, ma'am.
All right, then the motion is to update the contract to state 5 business days for review and approval, and to make the mayor the individual that does that review and approval wherever that is indicated in this contract. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem, second by Alderman Walker. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The motion passes unanimously. All right. Any discussion points on this project? I don't know if you want to vote.
Move forward with your contract with the Venture Go LLC for website development and supporting services.
I would request you modify that motion to include who you want to be the authorized representative signing it.
Yeah.
On there now.
Nobody. I'm asking, there's no filled in there.
And yeah, I'll also add that the approving official for this contract be the mayor.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion from Alderman Tremblay to move forward with this contract and have the mayor as the signator on this contract as the approving official, with a second by Alderwoman Walker. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay, this motion passes unanimously. Well, city attorney, you can help make sure we get those modifications done to this contract and move it forward. Okay. Oh, just real quick, going back to item 7B, since that was the second reading, that now needs to be published in the Wilson County News and posted on our city website.
Okay.
Just to make sure that that is clearly stated on the record that that will be done. Thank you. All right, now we move on to item 8B. Do we have someone on the call for item 8B?
Yes, ma'am, Mr. Garcia and Mr. Miller.
All right, Mr. Garcia, Mr. Miller, please, over to you.
Hi, good evening. We are a part of Enterprise Fleet Management. We have been in discussion with the city administrator to look at and craft a recommendation for fleet management services for the city. The plan that we have submitted to the city basically looks at a total of 6 vehicles. We provided the city with some information regarding the services of our partnership in terms of offerings, as well as a cash flow model on what the cost for the vehicle leases and equipment would be broken out, as well as a projection of the equity return to the city for those leases at the end of term. We did previously answer questions from the city regarding the partnership and are happy to address more. But we did submit the updated numbers for the city's consideration as requested with the quantity of vehicles.
I did have a quick question. I noticed that on the Ford F-150, the upfront cost is the same as the tax, title, and registration cost. So that's all we pay upfront for the F-150. Is that correct?
Correct. We're assuming that the city is in conversation. I believe we were informed, and you might be able to correct me, but that the city is tax exempt, and therefore the only thing that would be needed is the initial registration fee for the city for that vehicle. We're not requiring any money down on that vehicle from an enterprise cost.
Okay.
Enterprise.
But the other vehicle has a capital price reduction cost associated with it, just making sure that Ford F-150s do not have that.
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So based on my review, it looks like we've decreased the number of vehicles and gone down to 3 years versus 5, as we discussed at the previous meeting. Any other questions, comments, motions associated with what we have before us?
What we can afford to do this. A later date.
Make money because I agree. Valid point. Okay. Well,
I don't see any. I'm not in I don't want to, no, thank you.
Okay.
I'm not.
Alderman
That is-
Cooper Alderman Tremblay made a statement. I was just wondering if you had anything
I'm
else or
in
whether you
agreement
agree.
with Alderman Tremblay.
I would just move, we move to a later date to,
Right.
I just don't think our city finances can, sustain this monthly call.
Okay, so the recommendation is to postpone and just bring this up when we can find the finances somewhere in our budget to cover some, an expense such as this.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
And that's not called. We can postpone it indefinitely. Or, which would mean that when he gets the money, he can add it back on, but then it doesn't have to come back to March or at the next meeting. So, all right. Moving on to discussion and our possible action on the City of San Diego's Police Department participation in the U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement 287G program to authorize Sandy Oaks Police Department officers to authorize authority to perform specified immigration officer functions under ICE's direction and oversight, and authorize the city administrator and chief of police to enter into a memorandum of agreement and letter of interest with ICE.
Sure.
I just have a really tough time with it.
It is a
I did, Chief, there's some stuff towards you. I did see some stuff recently on the news on what numbers were as far as San Antonio Police Department and what they're involved with ICE. It's been very minimal. It's not like they're out, forming raids or whatever. They've been called a couple instances to assist, ICE with, some arrests. I think it was 3 or 4 in the past year. It hasn't been. So I don't think this is gonna be a big burden on our police department. If in fact these incentives are real, then they're
So
very.
it seems too good to be true. We brought in the actual ICE program manager for ICE to come and speak to us. The mayor was here and city administrator was there. I was there. He's the one that gave us the numbers that I believe you all have in front of you. But so there's a couple things to keep in mind. And this is, and I made it very clear with him, like, because he made it clear the MOU cannot be altered. It can't be changed, can't be adapted. It's a nationwide same MOU that they use with every department. However, because we're given credentials with ICE does not mean and I spoke to my guy, to the officers, and I said, and we're going to put it in writing. We're not going to stop a car just to check to see if you are a U.S. citizen. You're still going to stop a car only if you have probable cause to make a traffic stop. However, and that would be in writing. We're not going to violate, or not violate, because it's not a violation if we're given the credentials, right?
They did put it in writing.
And so the way I see it is, for example, right now we have 2 cases, very serious felony cases with illegal immigrants. That's 2 cases with resources we could have used them for to help us. One of them took us over a month to identify the person, just to get them identified. We could have had the resources with ICE if we'd have been a member or a part of this, had this MOU in place, right? But those are the type of incidents we're going to turn over. It's not going to be you know what, you ran a stop sign and you're not a legal resident. We're turning, no, there's officer discretion involved. And it's going to be case by case, depending on the violations that are committed or the laws that are broken, is going to determine whether we are going to call them and notify them or not. I think it's just a benefit to the department and a benefit to the city. We're not going in, kicking in doors, looking for illegal immigrants. We're not pulling people over just to see, do you have U.S. citizenship? That's not what this is for. I think there's a misconception there. We're not going to do that. We are going to operate the same way we operate, but it's when we come across like the 2 cases we have right now, serious cases. Those cases would be the ones we turn over, and they would come pick them up, and it takes that workload That's two serious cases, takes it off our hands and turns it into ice.
Sure, and looking at this, like I say, it all looks, it looks very beneficial, but, on the other hand, if we don't do this, I'm afraid it could be detrimental to the city as, is with, Dallas or Houston. There's some large cities who are not choosing
Participating.
to do this, and they're losing, funding.
They are.
It's a different, program than municipalities.
Right.
I looked into this.
So I mean, it's just, on one hand, it seems like a good thing, and on the other hand, I think, I don't know, but I mean, if you're looking at numbers, if you're looking at, what,
I think the resources that are not just the numbers and the assistance it would give the department for equipment and IT. I think just the resources that, as it is, we're short-staffed. Given this extra resources, it's just a help. That would be two cases off our plate that they could have taken over, made the arrest, cleared it up for us, right? But we're cleaning that fish now. I see it as a benefit. I mean, I recommend getting it. I was apprehensive at first until we really looked into it. We brought the guy over. I see it as a win-win for the city, for the citizens, for the department. I see it as a win-win.
But one of the challenges I'm having is, you said they would come pick them up. That's
Exactly.
not what it says in the MOA.
That is what he,
But, yeah.
It's what it says in the MOA.
The MOA said, it also says that you need to deal with whatever issues, legal issues you have with that individual before the ICE takes it on for whatever their legal stuff is.
right. So once we notify them, the way that he explained it in person was they could come and pick up these individuals, right? So that was what was explained to us in person.
But-
Now, I understand what the MOA,
Do you trust what's in writing or what they're telling to you? So-
well, I also trust what the other departments who are doing it do.
That's what I wanted to ask you about, because this MOA also says this MOA does nothing about paying. But both in the news stories, the email from the mayor, and your conversation with China Grove indicates that there is funds associated with that.
Absolutely.
Where are those funds coming from if it's not documented in the MOA? Is there like a grant that we apply for? Is it some other external federal program we have to get
No,
involved?
so there's no other application to be involved, and he explained that to us, right? He says, once the MOU is in place, then you get the other paperwork which describes the funding, which are he's like, I'm telling you, these are the exact numbers, right? But the numbers are going to determine how many officers we put on there, if we're all going to be a member, because you have to take the training, you have to pass the training, and you have to be a peace officer for 2 years, right? So the way we stand, we all qualify to be able to take the training. If we all pass the training, then you get the $100,000 up front, right? That's an upfront $100,000 for the department to be used in IT or equipment, or I forgot what the third
The
thing
mayor
was.
gave us all this.
Yeah,
I
right, and
was
so
just
it's-
wondering where,
right.
that's the second phase of this process.
That's the
If you
second
assign,
phase.
if you sign the MOA, they will give you the information for
On the
dollar.
numbers. Now, he told us the numbers up front of what it is, but it's not in the MOU. He says you will get a second paperwork, is what the way he explained the second, which describes the numbers, but he told us the numbers up front,
And
right?
you confirmed this with China Grove.
So China Grove, their
Their
numbers,
numbers will be different, but
Right.
this is what the
Correct.
process, so they got another piece of paper after the fact that says, here's the numbers for you.
correct.
Okay, so we are going to send all of our officers to this.
I just need to verify if they will accept Andrew's military training as peace, because you have to be a peace officer for 2 years. Now, TCO recognizes him, and that's why he has his master peace officer license. Now, they recognize his military police service as 2 years of service. I need to see if the federal agency will recognize his 2 years of service. If Andrew does not qualify, then it would be everybody minus Andrew.
And then can we add him later when he does reach
When
that
he-
2
when he
years in
reaches-
any future?
If we're
patrol
still on that,
officer?
if we're still on the program, we could.
So we can always add more later. And then, before I go through my questions specifically with the MOA, how do the officers feel about this? Are they concerned that this relationship with ICE is going to impact their relationship with the citizens? And I ask this because all over the media, all over social media, you hear people yelling, ICE is over here, go over there, let's go stop ICE, all this stuff. Are our officers concerned about their relationship with the citizens if we sign this MOA?
No, well, I mean, as far as the conversations that I've had, they're for it, right? They're for the help as well as we are not gonna change how we operate one bit, so. it's
That's
gonna
laid out
continue.
clearly in here, that that's not gonna change, so that's good. I don't wanna agree to this if our.
They're not,
officers
and
have
if they're not for it,
concerns.
so all of them, which, I mean, it's just a few of us, but yes, they are in favor of the program.
Okay. Now, just some questions on here. One of the items on here on page 2, it says the power and authority to arrest without a warrant.
We will not do that.
But it says any alien entering or attempting to unlawfully enter the United States in the officer's presence or view. So the only time where you'd be doing anything without a warrant is because you're watching them commit a crime.
Correct, right? If,
So-
any other time we'd have the authority to arrest without a warrant, that's when we'd arrest without a warrant.
And if you see someone doing a felony, you will arrest without a warrant as well. But that's the only time that I see anything in here, of you doing something or being authorized to do anything without a warrant. And then there's some reference to CFRs, which I'm sure are just technical legal stuff, but I wanted to ask you, it says the power and authority to take and maintain custody of aliens arrested by ICE or another state or local law enforcement agency on behalf of ICE. We don't have a place to maintain custody.
We do not.
So we
do not.
won't have to do any of that, nor with the next section underneath that. Okay, and then any concerns with our officers being able to obtain federal security clearance to access appropriate DHS and ICE database systems?
That's gonna be a determination that they make, right? It's kind of like the military. Do you, some of us that were military police got top secret clearance and some only got secret clearance. I don't know how they make that determination, but that's the determination they gotta make.
And then they talk about the training, and the training is both available online or in person. Is
40
there a
hours.
preference to which way they do it? Because it also says in here that if you do it in person, they pay for it. They give you a per diem, they pay for you to get there and do the training. So what is the preference? In which way do you?
So we discussed online because it's easier for us to do it that way, right? So it's because it's 40 hours worth of training rather than sending somebody away for an entire week. You could take the training at a pace till you complete those 40 hours.
Okay, so the preference is to go ahead and just do it in person, I mean, online instead
Online.
of sending folks away. Okay. Didn't want to be down too many officers getting this done. And then we pay for everything there, installation and maintenance. ICE is gonna pay for the installation and maintenance of IT technology infrastructure. So they're going to have to give the different IT equipment in order to accomplish this work, where you're gonna get different tablets now.
No, so the way I presume that being is that initial $100,000 that is upfront can only be used for IT and equipment. And there was one other item and I just can't remember off the top of my head, but it's only 3 things you can use it for.
Right, yeah.
So I'm
but that's
assuming
going
any
to
of
be
that.
New IT equipment specifically only for ICE, or can you
No,
use it for
no.
your police department work and support?
So that's if we needed equipment. As we're operating now, we don't need any special equipment for ICE. So there's nothing to be purchased or bought or installed just for them. No,
Unless we got money for new cars and had to get new systems
exactly.
for more officers. So
Use for vehicles?
there was
Yes, sir.
something in
That
the
is
email
equipment.
From the mayor talked about money for vehicles. So a large quantity of money for vehicles, money for IT, especially if we get more officers, we'll be able to afford that then moving forward.
That was the third item, unit, IT and equipment. They specifically have vehicles as a separate, but those 3 items.
We're responsible for salaries. We have to provide administrative supplies, no big deal there.
So when it's on salary, when the salaries though, like this case that the lieutenant's been working, right? A lot of hours are put into this case. Yes, we're paying him, but if he's on the program, once he's done with it, we submit it to ICE. ICE reimburses the city for those hours worked, and
Right.
it's a case involved.
And that's the part 2 of this MOA, we get that additional money. It says that we're gonna be, we're gonna be,
That's not in here.
no, it's not in here, no, but he's saying that's that second document, is that numbers and stuff that the mayor gave us. And they confirmed it with conversations with Shiny Group. It also says that you're gonna be responsible for tracking and maintaining accurate database and or data and statistical information.
Correct.
Will you be allowed to share that with the council to let us know what you're doing in support of ICE?
I didn't ask specifically that question, but I don't see why not. That's part of our monthly documentation and reports that we do, right? So I
Just
don't
know
see
we
why
made
we
4
can't.
arrests and 3 of them were turned over to ICE. I mean, we're not looking for detailed statistics, but there was a mention either from the city administrator or the mayor that you would be providing monthly reports on that. And I just want to make sure that ICE is okay with you sharing that information with us as well, right? Whether.
Yeah, I'd have to ask. I said
Yeah.
I didn't specifically ask, but I don't see why that would be a problem. I wouldn't think there'd be a problem with that.
It says, section 13 says information obtained or developed as a result of this MOA, including any documents created by, we have the contain information developed or obtained as a result of it is under the control of ICE and shall not be disclosed unless permitted by applicable laws, regulations, or executive orders. NEA has coordinated in advance of release with the ICE Office of Public Affairs, which will, and it goes on and on. Any questions regarding the applicability of this section to requests for release of information shall be directed to an ICE officer.
Yeah, but I don't know that I really see the number of people that were captured and turned over to ICE as information
Right.
collected under, it's just.
And so he did specifically talk to us about we can release to the media, whoever, information such as 3 people were arrested. But when it comes to details, he said of an investigation, we have to refer them to ICE. That he did mention that in the meeting. We had 4 cases, but not in details of, well, this case involved a robbery or a homicide or whatever.
No.
Right.
So you could say we had X number, you could still do your call sheet.
Correct.
You do for us. And then,
And then the bottom just say 3 were involving the ICE program, but
Yeah.
it doesn't need, not the details of
what
which
they
case
did,
it
who
was,
they are.
correct.
There's an awful lot of stuff that I know we hear that it's good and that you have confirmation and everything, but it's not in the MOA.
Right.
That's the
And
main reason why I have an issue with it.
But we also have the ability to just pull out of it.
at any time.
And we are responsible, we are liable, the city is liable for any suits that come about as a result of any of these ICE raids. Any of the ICE activities.
We're not doing ICE raids though. That's not.
I think the activities involving ICE in our city, the city is liable.
If you pull somebody over for a misdemeanor, is there any, what's the chance of them, being picked up by ICE? How do you proceed with that, interrogating them as far as, you look like you might not be a citizen, how can, do you require them to prove their citizenship, or do you just let them go because it's just a misdemeanor, or
No,
what?
well, we're not gonna let them go. They're gonna be charged with whatever they're gonna be
Right,
charged with,
right,
but we're not going to be contacting ICE because it's like he told us, right? We have to use our discretion very, very, selective, because he told us, if you call us, we're picking them up. So be selective on who. We have some agencies that'll go the whole quarter and not call us for a single person. Be selective on why you call us. You may have somebody, we understand, we got families here, people are paying their taxes, they've lived here 15, 20 years, they have children, they've established roots here. We pull you over, you maybe stole something from the Dollar General. I'm not gonna call ICE on that and have that person picked up and sent back for something. That's our discretion to do. We are not bound by contract to contact ICE every time somebody does something wrong.
Will your
It's a
patrol
case by
officers
case.
ask you for your decision on stuff like that before they call ICE, or?
Absolutely, yes. And we can, and it's like he said, this is our MOU. Now you can establish a policy and procedures on how we are going to work this program. So what we can establish in our policy and procedures is, even though we are all members of the ICE program, everybody in the department, nobody calls ICE without first authority from me, right? So they would call me and I'd say, yeah, that's a good idea, or no, that's not a good idea. I mean, we can include that in our policies and procedures. We haven't created one yet because I don't know if it's going to get approved or not, But if it gets approved, that's when we would develop our own policies and procedures. We can't make them more lenient than ICE's MOU, but we can make them more strict.
Right, and if John Doe down the street happens to commit a crime and is arrested for it, they go to Bear County anyway.
Bear County may
and county
contact.
Jails, counties don't have the option to opt out.
Yeah.
That's why Houston and there's 3 counties that
Yeah.
are being
It-
sued right now.
If that happens, that's not our
That's
our
different.
fault,
They're
right?
still gonna be caught.
Right.
They're still gonna be prosecuted.
correct.
No, you won't be called by the ICE task force to go help them do raids or anything like that. This is just if you're during the course of your day doing your normal job, if you encounter something that you think is a significant issue and that individual is relevant to ICE or a person of interest to ICE, you just reach out and tell ICE, hey, we got this guy you want.
Correct.
And that's it. There's no really change to
Now,
what you're.
they may call us, which doesn't change the fact that they may call us now. They said, we may call you guys if we have somebody, a person of interest, a person we're looking for that we know the last residency was in Sandy Oaks. We may call you guys to try and see if you can identify that person. But that happens now. The FBI sometimes calls us. Other agencies will call and say, hey, we're looking for this person. The last address they had was 1234 Waterwood. It's going to happen anyway, whether we're a part of the program or not.
However, we can reject it, so if they do have a target here in Sandy Oaks, and it's like, hey, can you come out 11 o'clock at night? We have a target, we can reject.
We can turn
You
it
get
down.
to say
We can
that-
turn it down. Yes, ma'am.
We can turn it down.
We're not gonna go out and deal with it. You have, yeah, that's in this MOA as well. So, and the mayor's email to me, by the way, he does support the signing of this MOA.
There's a resolution outlining findings of the MOA and giving authority, to sign the MOA.
This is one of those last. Yeah, there's a double dash in 2026. We have a number for it.
No, ma'am, we don't. The goal is to wait till after these resolutions are approved before we add numbers.
Yeah, but we usually know what the next number is going to be, so we can state it when we're.
Do you want me to go get it?
No, just if we could make sure we have it in the future, that way, so a citizen that's listening to this and wants to go find the resolution, they can find it.
Okay,
I'm just trying to read through this real quick, since this was one of the things added yesterday I didn't get to. Did you guys have any questions about the resolution? Any additional conversations about the MOA? Questions for the chief? Will you be able to bring us, or just have the city administrator send to us whatever this NIS
Phases.
document is, so that we can see, and maybe we start looking, hey, we can go spend this, or we can get this from the police department, just so we have that information. And then yours. So the officers will, if we do approve this, they're going to do their training on duty whenever they have time. I mean, what's the plan for getting this done? We're not gonna make them take their personal time at home to do this, just allocate them so many hours of.
That's how I would recommend doing it, right? I need to see how does their training consist? Are they 1 hour block, 2 hour block, 30-minute blocks? Is it a whole 5 hour block of training at one time, right? So I don't know how it's broken up. I just know there's 40 hours of training that we have to take, complete and pass before we're given credentials.
And is ICE okay with us taking like a month so that they only have to do like 10 hours a week and are able to do it on duty and not during their personal time? Or do they expecting us to get it done in a certain amount of time, or they don't care?
We didn't discuss the terms. We was just told 40 hours of training need to be done, completed and passed.
I mean, I would really not want to make our officers do this training on their personal time.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I would like to have them do it here as well, but we didn't discuss time period to get the training done. We just discussed the type of training it was gonna have to be.
It looks like there is one piece of information that needs to be filled in the MOA, and that's the number of officers that are going to get trained, and we can't really fill that in until you get the answer.
Yeah, and he was going to check on me about Andrew. He was gonna check for me because I don't know if the federal agency accepts his military police time as part of the 2 years of service. In order to participate in the program, you have to be a peace officer for 2 years.
Correct, so we don't have an answer to that.
Not yet.
We can get an answer before you actually sign that.
Correct.
Any other comments, questions, concerns?
No, there's just too much not included in the MOA.
But it is very concerning, but you have spoken with China Grove.
China Grove, correct. There's several agencies in the surrounding area that are part of it. Now, I've only spoken with China Grove, but there's several agencies that are participating.
And if we're not happy with the follow-up, we can just do a resolution saying cancel the MOA, correct?
When will they be sending the money? After the training?
After the
We don't
training,
need
yes.
anything until-
After everybody's been,
So
because we may not
they're-
pass the training, right?
Right. When everybody's, yeah, would it be like 90 days, 180 days?
Hopefully it won't take that
Yeah.
long.
Low pay.
Also,
No,
those
I mean-
incentives are based on 15 officers.
What numbers they provide there?
Just an example.
Yeah, that's why they don't give the numbers until after we do it.
They're not the same.
Better get more officers. Alderman Trembling, any other questions, comments, concerns?
If we can pull out, if we're not happy with it, we don't want to participate, we have the option to pull out at any time.
Correct.
That's in there that we do.
Yeah.
Alderman Crickmer,
And what about if they claw back their money they gave us if we do pull out?
I'm guessing that's gonna be in that secondary document we get.
Yeah,
And I'm not concerned about that, them clawing back money as much as I am. We are, even if we leave this agreement with them, we are still liable for any suits that citizens put forward to the city. Doesn't matter that we were working with ICE at the time. Doesn't matter what this MOA says.
Still be covered under our Campbell.
Yeah, the officers better just follow the law then.
I mean, we're liable under, we're not gonna change the way we operate, so we're still liable for suit from the citizens to the city.
You would be, we would be being liable for any operation that they perform as a task force, including you guys, but also if China Grove officers come in. This officers. come in.
And we can deny any operation they come in to do. Like they specifically explain, hey, if we got to raid a house and you guys want to participate fully, be part of the entry team and everything else, you're more than welcome. If you just want to be a perimeter, you're more than welcome. Or if you want to say, my officers are not taking part of that, we don't take part in that, right? So
See, that's not what it says in the.
that's the way that he explained it to us, is we don't have to participate in anything that they come out here to do.
And that's the challenge I'm having. It's not.
Some of the MOA is not very clear. But we're not responsible for the actions
And
of others. if
They
we're
could
not
still
involved.
come out and do whatever they want to do.
Yes, yeah. So that's the case. I mean, we can only be responsible for the actions of our officers. And, I mean, we have to trust that our officers are gonna be responsible. And things
And
happen.
we have a good attorney, so we're not worried.
What else?
It could be a windfall for you.
And there's a whole bunch of things that are included in the MOA that I don't agree with. And we can explain them away and say, no, that's not gonna happen, but it states it in the MOA. That's the part I have the problem with. It states it on paper in the MOA that we're signing. So I don't agree with it.
Any other questions?
Again, if we can pull out at any time, the incentives, when you look at the incentives in the police department, if it's one way to do it. If we can do it in the right way.
Agree, the option to pull out definitely, provide an option to cover the concerns.
You make a motion?
Nobody's made a motion. I'm just making sure no one has any questions or someone makes a motion. Because we have a resolution that we need to pass, authorizing them to engage, and to, sign the MOA.
So there's been no changes, right? As is.
Oh, that was what the chief indicated, that
Yeah, it
the
cannot
MOA
be
has to be
altered.
signed as is. The only thing is we need to fill in the number of officers in the MOA, and we can't do that. The chief can do that after he gets an answer about,
And
our officers, military service.
And then there's a letter of intent too, just authorizing.
But doesn't the resolution say to do the letter of
Not the
intent?
resolution, it just says the memo, the MOA. So I can include the letter of intent in addition to that.
But the letter intent's not mentioned.
Not in that.
So we need to pass the resolution and and authorize the chief to sign the letter of intent. So we need two motions then to move forward on this, or we need to leave it and move on.
You can make it a motion.
Okay. Okay. To the letter of intent. Was the letter of intent in here? No. That's not the letter of intent. This just says it should be on the evidence. This is the letter of intent. That doesn't even have a place to sign. Okay, so the letter of intent is where the number goes, and the number doesn't go in the MOA. If that's what this is. Yeah. Is that your understanding? Then, Chief, you understand that this first page needs to become a letter of intent on the city's letterhead? This is what the city attorney is just stating. It's right underneath the 2 pages with a brochure from ICE. And that yellow should be on the city's letterhead with your signature. That's where you indicate the number of officers.
Okay.
And that's supposed to be signed, and then the MOA. Does a letter of intent? The letter of intent doesn't need to be attached. Right,
I don't think so.
because the resolution just says. Okay. Did you see what I was, what we were talking about there? Dr. Johnson?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
so just help make sure that happens once we have the number off. Okay, I need a motion or we need to move on. What do we want to do?
I move to approve resolution number 2026 dash.
To be determined, we don't have that.
The city council of Sandy Oaks authorizing execution of a memorandum of agreement between Sandy Oaks Police Department and the United States Immigration Enforcement, one of the Department of Homeland Security.
And the city attorney was just emphasizing that we need to authorize the chief to sign a letter of intent.
And authorizing the chief to sign letter of intent.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second? I'll second that motion then. So we have a motion from Alderman Tremblay and a second from Mayor Pro Tem for the resolution 2026 number to be determined for the MOA. Do we have any further discussion? All right, so we have a motion, Alderman Tremblay, second by Mayor Pro Tem for resolution number 2026 to be determined, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks authorizing the execution of a memorandum of agreement between the Sandy Oaks Police Department and the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, a component of the Department of Homeland Security, and authorizing the Chief of Police to sign a letter of intent to ICE indicating our intention to train officer or to involve in the ICE 287G program. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That is passes 3-1. Chief, if you could just let us know when you report what answer you got for the number of folks that are going to be involved in that, once you get your answer on that one, I would appreciate that. And then look forward to seeing whatever that second part is and see where we go. Thank you. 8D, discuss and our possible action on the appointment, employment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of interim city administrator.
Action.
No action on item 8D. We'll move on to item 8E. 8E, discuss and our possible action on a pay adjustment for City Secretary Delma Doyle with an effective date.
Move to increase the city secretary's pay to increase of $1 an hour.
Effective date.
Pay grade.
A motion from Alderman Tremblay with a second from Alderwoman Walker to give City Secretary Delma Doyle a pay raise of $1 an hour to become effective at the beginning of the next pay period. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to item 8F.
I move that we.
Wait, let me read it first. Discussion and our possible action on a pay adjustment for Public Works Director Priscilla Schmidt with an effective date. Thank you.
We make a pay adjustment for Public Works Director Priscilla Schmidt. 50 cents an hour increase effective next pay period. Beginning of next pay period.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion from Alderwoman Walker with a second from Alderman Tremblay to give the Public Works Director Priscilla Schmidt a pay raise of 50 cents an hour effective at the beginning of the next pay period. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Did you say that? All those opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Moving on to agenda item 8G, discussion and our possible action on consideration of scheduling Saturday town hall meetings from May through July 2026 at the Sandy Oaks Community Center, 4451 Hickory Haven, Sandy Oaks, Texas, to receive public comments on a potential tax increase for the 2026 tax year to support the 2027, 2027 fiscal year budget. Dr. Johnson, over to you.
Yes, ma'am. So the plan is to present you a schedule, you, the council, for Saturdays, the mayor or the mayor pro tem, we get together and host a town hall meeting there at the community center. We can do this for the next, hours haven't been mentioned yet, but I'm thinking early that morning, maybe around 10 o'clock. I just have to look at the mayor's schedule as well as mayor pro tems. I would be at every town hall meeting. Rather the mayor hosted or the mayor pro tem hosted. So I'm thinking maybe 9 to 11. However, it depends on you all schedule.
I'm not available at 9 a.m. on Saturday.
Okay, that's
On
just
the North Town running. I'm in a training group on Saturday mornings. I won't get back until 11 or 12 o'clock. So I won't be able to do that early on a Saturday.
Maybe offer a couple of different times. 1 week do 9 to 11, 1 week do 1 to 2, 1 to 3.
Yes, ma'am.
So give the citizens options too.
Did you have something in the folder for this item? This is item 8.
Yes, ma'am, there is this.
That's just a,
document.
yeah.
So would you like to, once a month or once every 2 months?
I don't think once every 2 months is, because we've only got like 3 months left. I mean,
Yeah.
we're in doing quite.
Mm.
So the mayor had no comments. I was trying to see if he had any comments on that particular agenda item. So do we need to post this or do we just need to post it a week before each meeting? I mean, what do we need to do with this document here?
It's the same as, well, it depends on the structure of the meeting, if there's to be a forum. Special meeting and be 5 days, 5 business days, or sorry, 3 business days, which is essentially usually what that.
Okay, so we don't need to really do anything with this. When are we doing?
Council doesn't need to do anything with the notice, it is the scheduling date.
Have a resolution to do this?
No, that's what I was just, the only thing that's attached is some document that needs to be posted when we schedule the meeting with the information about the meeting. And when we post it is depending on whether we're gonna have a forum. I think we could always post it as if we're gonna have a forum, just in case. And we just say that there's a potential to have a forum. That way the council members are always welcome to come and hear what the citizens have to say. But with that being said, what exactly are the proposed dates? Do we have that yet?
No, and can I just ask, and I brought this up previously. The mayor is asking, he has a specific tax number that he wants to put out there. And I haven't seen anything to back it up, and asking for a tax increase of whatever, 10, 15, 25 cents without something stating what you're doing with it, because normally you have the budget and then you back it up
If I can
with
address
your tax. But I think we'll put the cart before the horse here.
Well, actually, in the doctoral level class, I'm taking on budgeting and finance. In order to solicit input from the citizens, in order to determine the way forward, the recommendation is not to go out numbers at this point in time. The town hall meeting, you're looking for feedback. For example, here are 5 services we provide to you. How would you prioritize these 5 services? If we were to give you $100 and tell you to apply it to one of these 3 things, which service would you apply it to? So we're looking for them to prioritize. It's our way to communicate the money that we're charging you in taxes is providing these service. If you had to prioritize them, what would you do? And then we worry about the numbers later, because if we cloud things with numbers, then they start thinking,
Sure.
we don't need to pay that person.
And we've done this in way back when we've done.
Right.
that, and we've done some workshops with people who are having, like we can't prioritize these items. But the mayor has put that number out there.
But I don't recommend we put a number out there at first. And instead, we just give everybody a survey. Here's 5, 10 services we provide, number them. Here's within the police department, here's some things that we provide. If we had to cut something, what would you cut first? Or out of these 3 services we provide, if you had to cut one, and we just have it as a survey that people do when they show up. So that we're not talking money yet. We're showing them this is what we provide. And then as we get closer to the time where we have to make the decision, we're going to say, based on the feedback in the last 2 meetings, we're hearing this is what you guys prioritize. So in order to do that, we need this much money. And then we start throwing the number out at later meetings as we're getting closer to that hearing date. That's my recommendation based on the classes that I'm taking now. And
Sure, that sounds logical. That would be the way to go, but the mayor has put that number out there. And it's a hard number to swallow. We'll end up at a referendum and.
And that's true, but then we'll have that information. What services do they prioritize so we know where to start cutting? What is most important to our citizens? We had a gentleman here today saying what's priority for him is that we start cleaning this up so our town doesn't look terrible, so that his property values don't keep going down. So that's what's important to him. So he would prioritize code enforcement. So, I mean, it's just that kind of information that we should be trying to get from them first. And even if it's like sending everybody a survey, posting the survey on some sort of form on the website, maybe it's something that we use one of those forms that are an option. I have no idea what the capability of this new website is going to be. But it looks like it's gonna have lots of options. We need some way to get them to tell us what is most important. And the town hall might do that, because if we throw money, that's what the numbers in there, they're gonna start seeing that first. But if we tell them, and he's already putting the number after, you're right, so if they know that's the number. And if they don't think we can reach that number by raising taxes, then give me a priority of everything that's falling under that number.
Need to determine cost of various services like animal control.
And we'll do that behind the scenes. We need to ask them,
Correct.
what is most important? Do you think we need
Right.
three people in animal control, or do you think we need 5 officers doing patrol? I mean, what are their priorities? Another code enforcement is more important than another animal control officer. How do they, and there are different ways we can phrase those things. We can either do, hey, if you had to eliminate one of these, which would you eliminate? How would you prioritize these in 1 through 5? You never ask them to rate everything of these as how important they are 1 through 5. You just say, here are 5 things, number them based on priority 1 through 5.
Well, I
Just
think if you at least do one of these each month, at least one a month. Saturday, month, maybe June, July, hopefully, it gets out to the first one and people will attend the second one.
Yes.
Hopefully. We see what-
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would say, do at least one a month.
Okay.
Go over the schedule, get with the mayor, see what his calendar looks like.
Will do.
He definitely should be there.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
And then you can also definitely use AI once you plug in like what the services are we provide, have them generate like what are some of the surveys. What are some of the questions we should ask on the survey to get the public input on to help prepare for that. We have that available there, or any other opportunity we can get the citizens inputs.
Sure will.
No need to put a name on there though. Be important to know, are they a resident? Do they own or do they rent? Probably be the only thing that we might get different perspective of answers, but whether they're owners or
That's a
renters.
good point.
Yeah, we don't need more than that. Just do you own or do you rent? Don't need your name. Just whether you own or rent. That way we're keeping it very generic. No identifying information in there.
And just for correction from something I said at one of the last meetings, the town halls are being discussed on Saturday at the last meeting. So Open Meetings Act procedure would have to be followed, not just a note of a potential quorum, like an actual meeting, so it would require 4 council members there for the meeting. So to limit that, I think that's why the suggestion was to go to the mayor pro tem, be at one of the meetings, and then if it's the mayor, 2 other aldermen, or if it's the mayor pro tem, 1 other alderman, to give all the aldermen an opportunity to attend one, but also not all be there at the same time. Violating open meetings, or if there's 3, then that.
So your recommendation is to not have to do the meeting minutes and track it, is to just do it as
What, like just a general open town hall discussion, unless 4 members can be there, and then.
okay.
Tell today, and then you can. I don't know if you want. Wouldn't be official meeting minutes, but notes taken of how who showed up and. What their issues were.
We don't want multiple, councilmen there. We don't want to have a quorum and.
Right, that's what she's saying. So the mayor and 2
That's what I-
council members, mayor pro tem and 1 council member at the next meeting, so that we're never reaching that 3.
Yeah, 3 is a tricky number, so it's either for a special meeting, and then that would need to be noticed, or
Okay, so do we have an action that we need to do for this one, or do we just talk to the mayor and find out when he wants to start this?
Yes, ma'am. Talk to the mayor.
All
Who
right,
wants to start?
so no action at this time. And then moving on to the next item, item 8H, discussing our possible action on the hiring of Fred G. Perez as a patrol officer pursuant to Texas Government Code Chapter 551, Section 551074.
Move to hire.
Second.
effective date, next pay period.
Wait,
Full salary, 48.
probationary. Probationary.
Probationary.
Patrolman's hour.
Salary.
Okay, so I have a motion from Alderman Tremblay with a second from Alderman Pritchmer to offer Fred G. Perez a position of patrol officer to begin as soon as possible with a starting salary of the probationary patrolman salary. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Alfred, welcome back and look forward to seeing him back out there. Next item, HI, discussed in our possible action on the city administrator pursuing the certified public manager certification through the Texas CPM online program at Texas State University beginning January 2027 with an estimated completion of June 2028 at a total cost of $4,865. Dr. Johnson, that's your item on here.
Yes, ma'am. So this is one of the colleges that was recommended by TML. It is on my job description. So I want to make sure that the council is still okay with me pursuing to take this course.
Take no action on that item.
So do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Alderman Tremblay with a second from Alderwoman Walker to take no action on approving this class at this time. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I would just recommend not bringing it back after we have a position of permanent city administrator because still it's interim. I don't know that the city wants to.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion to
This meeting is now adjourned at 8:59. Thank you.